Gita as it is, Chapter 5, Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. In Chapter 4, the Lord told Arjuna that all kinds of work culminate in knowledge, transcendental knowledge. And at the end of Chapter 4, the Lord told Arjuna to wake up and fight, being situated in perfect knowledge. That's what he says. Therefore, he stresses the importance of both work in devotion and inaction in knowledge. Because of that, Krishna perplexes Arjuna again. He's like confused again. Krishna wants him to be confused anyway. So therefore in Chapter 5, Arjuna is again starting to ask this same question that he asked in the Chapter 3 also. Similar. He's saying, so which is better, work in devotion or renunciation of work? So Krishna replies, the results of renunciation, devotional service actually same, but one is superior because it frees one from reactions. And the devotee can quickly and easily achieve Krishna. Whereas the other one is very tedious. It takes a longer time to come to a proper conclusion. So, in Chapter 2 we studied about the knowledge about the soul and how it's entangled in a material body, and then how to get out using Buddhi Yoga. And then in Chapter 3 it talks about how if a person is situated in proper knowledge, he can do his duty without not rewards.
No, without expecting the
Results.
result.
Yes. Without attachment.
Attachment.
Yeah. And Chapter 4, we also understood that working with that mood, one also needs to do different types of sacrifice to get transcendental knowledge. So all the sacrifices that are outlined culminates in knowledge. You acquire some knowledge. And therefore we come to this text 1. Arjuna Vacha Sanyasam Karmanam Krishna Punaryogam Cha Shamsayasi Yachreya Yatayo Rekam Tanme Bruhi Sunishchitam. Arjuna said, "Oh Krishna, first of all, you asked me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is most beneficial?" So he's confused. Because he has stressed work in devotion and inaction in knowledge also. He stressed both. So again, he thinks that renunciation, from his point, Arjuna thinks that renunciation involves stopping all kinds of activities, particularly work. Because for him, work and renunciation cannot be compatible. It's different. One is active, one is inactive. That's how he is saying. But actually he has not understood that work in full knowledge causes no reaction. Once you know what to do, then you are actually not creating any reaction. And then therefore it's same as inaction, right? Remember we talked about work, inaction in action and action in inaction. Yeah? So that's exactly what he seemed to not get it. Therefore he asks whether should he stop work altogether or work with full knowledge. So therefore he is asking this question. So if you look at the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, we're just going to revise this a little bit. So about 4 or 5 lines down, Prabhupada says, in the 3rd chapter it was explained that a person who's situated on the platform of knowledge no longer has any duties to perform. And in the 4th chapter, the Lord told Arjuna that all kinds of sacrificial work culminate in knowledge. However, at the end of the 4th chapter, the Lord advised Arjuna to wake up and fight, being situated in perfect knowledge. Therefore, by simultaneously stressing the importance of both work in devotion and inaction in knowledge, Krishna has perplexed Arjuna and confused his determination. Okay. So, Arjuna understands that renunciation knowledge involves cessation of all kinds of work performed as sense activities. But if one performs work in devotional service, then how is work stopped? In other words, he thinks a sannyas or renunciation knowledge should be altogether free from all kinds of activity because work and renunciation appear to him to be incompatible. So therefore he is asking this question. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Sannyasa Karma Yogascha Nishreyasa Karaubhau Ayostu Karma Sannyasa Karma Yoga Vishishyate. Personality of Godheads replied, renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. So, if you go to the let's see. Second paragraph, which should begin with therefore. Therefore, jnana, knowledge that one is not this material body but spirit soul, is not sufficient for liberation. One has to act in the status of spirit soul, otherwise there is no escape from material bondage. Action in Krishna consciousness is not, however, action on the fruitive platform. Activities performed in full knowledge strengthen one's advancement in real knowledge. Without Krishna consciousness, mere renunciation of fruitive activities does not actually purify the heart of a conditioned soul. As long as the heart is not purified, one has to work on the fruitive platform. But action in Krishna consciousness automatically helps one escape the result of fruitive action so that one need not descend to the material platform. Therefore, action in Krishna consciousness is always superior to renunciation, which always entails a risk of falling. Renunciation without Krishna consciousness is incomplete. Okay? So therefore here Krishna is explaining devotional service is better than renunciation of work. Because if you just renounce fruitive activities, it does not, what does it not do? It does not, it does not purify your heart. So therefore you can't do that. Unless one acts in the status of the spirit soul, one cannot get liberation. You must be acting on the level of spirit soul, not on the bodily concept. So renunciation without Krishna consciousness is incomplete. Okay? And therefore there is a risk of falling down. And then another point that is made in this purport is real renunciation means to understand that everything in existence belongs to Krishna. Okay? Therefore everything should be used in his service. Activities performed with this knowledge strengthen one's advancement in real knowledge. Therefore if you look at that verse, Prapanchi kataya buddhiya hari sambandhi vastuna mumukshuvi parityago vairagyam phalgu katyati. When a person eager to achieve liberation renounce things related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking them to be material, their renunciation is incomplete, called incomplete. Okay? Renunciation is complete when it is in the knowledge that everything in existence belongs to the Lord and that no one should claim proprietorship over anything. But you use it in his service. So that is very important to understand. Verse 2, right. So therefore incomplete renunciation we call them Phalgu Vairagya, false renunciation. Okay? And complete renunciation we call it Yukta Vairagya. Okay? Yukta means you are connecting with Krishna. Phalgu means you are trying to enjoy. Or you renounce things that you may be a devotee, but you may say, oh, we don't need the camera, we don't need the computer to use, and then you don't know how to use it in the service of God. So that's foolish renunciation. Yeah. Just like if we have AC and we say, no, we have to perform austerity, and we turn off and then we suffer. That's foolish renunciation. Foolish. Just use it and study peacefully. Otherwise you'll be studying thinking what the hell I'm doing here. So one should think clearly. Jnaya sanitya sannyasi yona dvistina kankshati nirdvando hi mahabaho sukham bandha pramuchyate. One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. Almighty Amrit. It's the same thing, remember? He is not attached to the whole thing. He does his service, but he is not hating whatever bad comes, he is not hating it. Or when it's good, he is not desiring it. So he is actually renounced. He's not. Sometimes we think renounce means we only give things up, but also how we face situation also. We only like good vibes, but we don't like bad vibes. That doesn't work. Real renunciation means whatever comes, I have to go through. That is renunciation. So when such a person can undergo that, then he is said to be free from dualities, happiness, distress, cold, hot, all those kind of things. He is not disturbed by them. And such a person is completely liberated. So you will find as you practice seriously, you will come to this attitude towards the material nature also. Always connecting with Krishna, but not letting the material nature disturb your consciousness. So that way you make your ultimate advancement where you are completely liberated. Okay. So, let's see. Okay, so let's go to the next phase. This is kind of straightforward. So, okay. Sankhya Yoga Pritak Bala Prabhadanti na Panditaha Ekam Abhi Astita Samyak Vayor Vindate Palam. Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, has been different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both. So here Krishna is making it very clear. There's no difference because they are all leading to the same goal. So remember we discussed Sankhya Yoga is the analytical study of the the material world. And then you come to the soul, and then you come to the supreme soul, like that. And karma yoga is devotional service, because you're connecting to Krishna. The common aim is still coming to the soul of the universe, who is Krishna, Vishnu, like that. And Sankhya Yoga will try to study the material world, and then you'll try to find, as you said, soul, how it exists in the material world. And all this knowledge that you gain by studying. Then by studying this in devotional service, we understand our aim is to serve the Supreme Soul. So both comes to the same conclusion, Sankhya or devotional service. So that is the right understanding.
But analytical study of the material world is to understand
how it's functioning.
Right.
Yeah. So ultimately, when you come to the atoms, who created the atom? Why is this created? Then you have to come to the spirit. Finally, you'll come to spirit. And if I have all this body matter and its element, so how is it functioning? Then you realize there's someone here driving the whole thing. It's a soul connected to the material nature who's actually moving it. So that's the Sankhya studies.
The other day we talked about Karma Kanda,
Yeah.
then Karma Yoga, and yes, Bhakti Yoga.
Yes.
So
The others,
was the
Jnana,
ultimate one.
Jnana, Astanga, then yeah.
So here we are saying Karma Yoga
Yeah.
and Sankhya Yoga, they are also difficult.
Yes. when it's connected to Krishna, it's the same as Bhakti Yoga. When there's no, sometimes people say Karma Yoga, but they're not connecting to the Supreme. They're just doing something they don't know, so it's not Bhakti. They're just doing some austerities and so on. They don't want to have some reaction. They can get liberated, but only up to the stage of Brahma Bhuta platform.
All the Vedas and Vedic rituals, they all fall under the Karma Yoga.
Karma Kanda section, then some sections Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga there. There's a little bit of that, but generally it's Karma Kanda. But if you study the whole Vedas carefully, it will say ultimately one should come to Bhakti. But because 95% is full of all this Karma Kanda, people get attracted and they fail to see the real goal of human life.
Question.
Yes.
So among these yogas, which one is the most efficient and quickest path to
Most efficient is what you are doing now, Bhakti Yoga. Which in the 6th chapter Krishna will confirm that.
So, can I ask? Now, even if you practice Karma Yoga, but if you add Bhakti Yoga to that maybe can achieve success, right?
Yeah, you will. Ultimately, you will even give up that activities for just doing pure devotional service. Okay.
Karma Yoga is also necessary, right?
So up to some extent, finally you have to give up that also to do pure devotional service. That means 24 hours for Krishna. Now you are not doing that.
Purification,
Yes.
get to that level.
Yes. Now you're thinking I have to do this and that. You're still not connecting to Krishna. When you come to the full understanding, you will connect every activities in your life. Then you are doing pure devotion. Now your emphasis is you worry about your family, you worry about this, that, children and all. Later on when you are so much advanced in your consciousness, everything is part and parcel of Krishna, you're trying to connect it. You understand? The consciousness is different. Even though outwardly it may seem you're doing some karma activities. And for others you may be doing karma yoga because you're coming to temple and so on. But essentially from your point of view, everything is for Krishna, it is bhakti.
So means towards the end it should be pure bhakti, just bhakti.
Yes, you will come to that. Essentially you will come to that if you do it correctly. So there is difference between devotional service and pure devotional service. Right? Devotional service is coming to the temple and attending and going and thinking about Krishna, doing your work, karma and so on. But pure devotional service is 24/7, just for Krishna, all your actions. Like Shravanam, Kirtanam, devotional service means you give some charity for Krishna. Like some of you were asking yesterday, why like give money and so on. But it is charity, sacrifice and austerities must be performed by everyone. Whether you're a pure devotee or you're an ordinary person, you must do those things to make advancement. So therefore we also must give in charity.
Question was like it doesn't matter how much you're giving in charity.
It depends on how your consciousness is. Basically it's your consciousness.
Right.
Yeah. So you may think you are giving a lot, but then the Lord in your heart knows exactly what you are giving. Whether you're giving in with love or you're just thinking just showing. He will know. You don't have to worry.
Yes,
Yeah.
That was the question actually.
Huh?
And he has a way to take it back as well.
It depends. If he has mercy onto you at the moment, yes, he will help you lose the money. Yad sankhye prapyate sthanam tadyoger abhigamyate ekam sankhyan cha yogam cha ya pasyati sa pasyati. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. So they don't see any differences. Okay. Real purpose of philosophical research is to find ultimate goal of life. Okay. And then the conclusion in Sankhya is that living entity is not part of the material universe, but of the Supreme Spirit Soul. So soul's action must be in relation to the Supreme Lord. Okay. So therefore, it may appear superficially that Sankhya appears to involve detachment from matter, and devotion appears to involve attachment to work. They are the same because one who is attached to Krishna is automatically detached from matter. That's what it is. So that's the idea that we need to appreciate and understand. Alright, then we can continue.
Having read the first few chapters, so far everything comes to the conclusion that one give up your desire.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
Why you are still at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you're still living in a material world.
Yes.
You have to do your karmas until the time that you have to live.
Yes.
So you have to live in this material world.
Yes.
Why give up everything when you are living in a material world?
But you're not ready to give up everything. That's your misunderstanding.
We're still doing our duties.
Yes.
Without any
Yes.
expectation.
As long as you have duties to perform, you cannot prematurely give up. Once you become very advanced, then you can give up. But then you want to set examples. So you still do it.
But as long as we are doing our duties, everybody is satisfied. Like the family members, we are doing our duties.
Yeah, externally
and they
they
are
are satisfied.
sufficiently satisfied. So
The problem is, if you are not purified, you will be attached to the results, or you expect something this way or that way.
It has to be without attachment and unconditional.
Yeah, that's the aim here. The whole thing is to come to the point of attachment to Krishna, not to the material nature or results in the material nature. So that's what you're trying to learn. That's what he's trying to teach Arjuna. That, you still have to do your duty, you can't renounce. If you, of the two, which is the best, he's asking. So Krishna is pointing out, you still have to do it. It's better because it's easier. You do it for me. Whereas you renounce, you have to still not think about it, but you can't do that. Or even if you are thinking of understanding how everything is related to Krishna, I understand, but still you have to do your prescribed duty if you are not perfect.
But if you can renounce, won't that lead to it?
Yeah, if you can,
If you can,
but
if
still,
you can renounce the material world.
of the two, Krishna is saying the better is to do the activity than not do it, because it sends the wrong information.
That's what Arjuna is confused about also, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. If he can renounce, then he wants to renounce with understanding everything. Then Krishna says it's not the best way to do it. Because you're sending wrong signals to other people,
but it's,
not doing your prescribed duties.
but it's one way to still achieve liberation.
It is, but it's harder.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's why we do the easier method.
Which is the hardest one of all the yogas?
Huh?
Which is the hardest one? We know the easiest and the efficient one is the bhakti yoga.
Everything else is harder.
Everything else is
Bhakti is the easiest, very simple. You just do chants, eat prasadam, think about Krishna, serve devotees, all this. Connect everything to Krishna. Whereas if you try to disconnect things from yourself, it's harder because your mind has to undergo so much stress. It's not easy, it's not natural, because the living entity's natural behavior is to be active and to have a relationship. Whereas if you do renunciation and all, it's not normal for the living entity. So when you do renunciation by connecting it to Krishna, doing it for Krishna, that's a higher renunciation, it's much easier.
Is that reason why they said all these, Grihasthasrama, sannyas, you perform your duties and then in the then you become
because you won't be attached anymore. Yeah. And there's no reason to even remain in that status anymore. That's why you can renounce.
Are there any examples of people who have liberated on the path of Jnana? Some from the past?
Well, all those who get liberated in Jnana without connecting to Krishna will only come to the Brahman level, that's all. And that's incomplete.
But won't they realize after that?
No, not necessarily.
That they have to go to Bhakti Yoga?
Not necessarily, unless they get the mercy of the Lord or His devotees. So the example that's given is, one of the examples is the 4 Kumaras. So they were very good at Jnana Yoga. So they realized the Lord in His impersonal aspect. But when they were traveling, they smelled the fragrance of the Lord's tulasi leaf on His lotus feet near Vaikuntha. So they were very attracted. So if they were totally renounced, how were they attracted to the Lord's tulasi? So they were curious themselves, how is this possible? So when they encountered the Lord, then they realized this is who they had to serve. So then they became bhaktas. So it is there in the Puranas.
Why I'm asking that is that a lot of people who are intellectually inclined,
Yeah.
Jnana Yoga may be easy for them.
Yeah, generally for them, but ultimately, having read this, the intelligence will tell them, okay, let me shift to.
I can see that.
Yeah. So we see that in the case of the 4 Kumaras also. They shift their attention from impersonalism to personalism because they feel satisfied. But you will not find any example where someone who is with Krishna or Narayan Vishnu giving him up and going to impersonalism. That's not a single case. Sanyasastu mahabaho dukham aptum ayogataha yoga yukto munirbrahma nachire nadigacchati. Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the Supreme without delay. So can you understand that? So one cannot simply renounce activities and then not do anything at the same. So he says one has to be engaged in Yoga Yukta. Yoga Yukta means connected to something supreme, higher. Generally, if you have a lower taste, just like when a child is playing with in your home, your child is playing something with some like electronic equipment, and then when you try to take, they don't want to give you. So what do? You substitute with something that they like. So then they'll say, oh, it's a higher taste like that. Then their mind is peaceful. So the same way, we cannot just renounce and think everything is okay. No, our mind must be connected to Krishna in the form of a service here, engaging in service. And particularly when you think of the Lord, you will be perfectly pleased. So therefore, Karma Yoga is better because the process is easier and the results is quick. Yeah. Karma Yoga in this case is bhakti.
Now, service to humanity is the same as service to Krishna?
Mention them many times. No, because it's just like watering leaves and roots. That's a difference. If you water leaves, that is humanity. That's not serving the Lord. In the purport of 5.6, Prabhupada talks about 2 classes of sannyasis. This is quite prevalent in India, particularly in the renounced order. The Mayavadi sannyasis are engaged in the study of Sankhya philosophy. They like to study how everything is made up and so on. Mainly philosophy. Whereas the Vaishnava sannyasis are engaged in the study of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam means relating to the Supreme Lord, connecting things to Supreme Lord. which offers a proper commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So Bhagavatam is actually a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. It's a natural commentary. Vyasadeva, after writing the Vedas, he felt that he didn't describe the glories of the Lord properly. So he rewrote the Bhagavatam, and so it is considered the natural commentary of the Vedas. Reading on chapter 5, verse 6. Okay, the Mayavadi Sannyasis also study the Vedanta Sutras but use their own commentary called Shariraka Bhasya, written by Sankaracharya. The students of the Bhagavata school are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord according to the Pancharatriki regulations, and therefore the Vaishnava Sannyasis have multiple engagements in the transcendental service of the Lord. The Vaishnava Sannyasis have nothing to do with material activities, and yet they perform various activities in their devotional service to the Lord. But the Mayavadi Sannyasis engaged in the studies of Sankhya and Vedanta and speculation cannot relish the transcendental service of the Lord. Because their studies become very tedious, they sometimes become tired of Brahman speculation, and thus they take shelter of the Bhagavatam without proper understanding. Consequently, their study of the Srimad Bhagavatam becomes troublesome. Dry speculations and impersonal interpretations by artificial means are all useless for the Mayavadi Sannyasis. The Vaishnava Sannyasis who are engaged in devotional service are happy in the discharge of their transcendental duties, and they have the guarantee of ultimate entrance into the kingdom of God. The Sannyasis sometimes fall down on the path of self-realization and again enter into material activities of a philanthropic and altruistic nature, which are nothing but material engagements. So that's the difference. Therefore, the conclusion is that those who engage in Krishna conscious activities are better situated than the sannyasis engage in simple speculation about what is Brahman and what is not Brahman, although they too come to Krishna consciousness after many births. So they have an opportunity also. So that's the difference between one who is studying Sankhya and one who is actually performing devotional practice. Okay, now we go to text 7. From 7 to 12, it's a discussion about how to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga. That means Karma Yoga, but not no desire, no attachment. Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma
Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma
Vijitatma Jitendriya
Vijitatma Jitendriya
Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma
Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma
Purvanna Vina Lipyate.
Purvanna Vina Lipyate.
One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. So he sees all living entities as spirit souls. That's why he sees everyone as dear to him. And parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. And therefore he feels very dear. These are Krishna's parts. Samadarshana. Therefore, such a person will want to serve the Supreme Lord. He does not think that you only serve the parts. He serves the whole, the person who's the source of the parts and parcels. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, he sees everyone as dear to him. So this is due to his Krishna consciousness. Such a person cannot think of any living being as separate from Krishna. Just as the leaves and branches of the tree are not separate from the tree. He knows very well that by pouring water on the root of the tree, the water will be distributed to all the leaves and branches, or by supplying food to the stomach, the energy is automatically distributed throughout the body. Because one who works in Krishna consciousness is a servant to all, he is very dear to everyone. And because everyone is satisfied by his work, he is pure in consciousness. Because he is pure in consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is controlled, his senses are also controlled. Because his mind is always fixed in Krishna, there is no chance of his being deviated from Krishna. Nor is there a chance that he will engage his senses in matters other than the service of Krishna. He does not like to hear anything except topics relating to Krishna. He does not like to eat anything which is not offered to Krishna, and does not wish to go anywhere if Krishna is not involved. Therefore his senses are controlled. So a man who's controlling senses cannot be offensive to anyone. So you can see these are the qualities of a very advanced person, and we know where we stand. We can compare. This is a good guide for us to see, well, okay, I can see where I am. So act on it, work, practice. Like that. Let's check and see if there's any other points on it. So basically, just understand, he always acts as a servant to everyone. He wants to please everyone. Therefore, he becomes dear to everyone. Naiva kinchit karomiti
Naiva kinchit karomiti
yukto manyeta tadvade
Yukto manyeta tadvade
Asyan shinvan spishan jigran
Asyan shinvan spishan jigran
Ashnan gachan swapan swashan
Asyan gachan swapan swashan
Pralapan vishrijan grinan
Pralapan vishrijan grinan
Unmishan nimishan api
Unmishan nimishan api
Indriyan indriyateshu
Indriyateshu
Vartanta iti dharayan
Vartanta iti dharayan.
A person in divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with the objects and that he is aloof from them. This is someone who is at a very high level of Krishna consciousness. So in the purport again, Srila Prabhupada says, a person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence and consequently he has nothing to do with any work which depends upon 5 immediate and remote causes. These are the 5 things: the doer, the work, the situation, the endeavor and fortune. Okay? So this is a person acting in Niskam Karma Yoga. This is because he is engaged in the loving transcendental service of the Lord, Krishna. Although he appears to be acting with his body and senses, he is always conscious of his actual position, which is spiritual engagement. In material consciousness, the senses are engaged in sense gratification, but in Krishna consciousness, the senses are engaged in the satisfaction of Krishna's senses. Therefore, a Krishna conscious person is always free, even though he appears to be engaged in affairs of the senses. Then Prabhupada says, activities such as seeing and hearing are actions of the senses meant for receiving knowledge, whereas moving, speaking, evacuating, etc. are actions of the senses meant for work. So there are knowledge acquiring senses and there are working senses. There are different types of senses in our body. A Krishna conscious person is never affected by the actions of the senses. He cannot perform any act except in the service of the Lord, because he knows that he is the eternal servitor of the Lord. So basically here Krishna describes how transcendental knowledge that we are not our body should be expressed through work. Understand? It means we are not the body, but we are working for Krishna. So this is how Krishna has explained how you should work. This knowledge allows us to remain aloof from the body as we work. Okay? We see our bodies acting, but we have no interest in the fruits of our actions. Okay? So therefore this is Niskama Karmi. He has knowledge, he realizes, I'm not the body, but I'm doing these activities for Krishna. But so I will do that. And to be conscious of your position in relation to Krishna, that you are the servant and you're doing for Krishna, requires a lot of practice and purification. It's not an overnight thing. It's not something you sign up and then get it after 6 months, you're done, you get it. No. It's an ongoing process of purification, and then you will realize. Realization comes in stages. It's not like boom and then you realize. Not suddenly you walk and then your guru touch you and he goes and then you realize. It doesn't work. It's a realization. No, people think sometimes. So it's not like that.
Practice too, right?
Huh?
Practice.
It's all matter of practicing properly, correctly. So remember the 5 immediate and remote cause: the doer, the work, the situation, the endeavor, and the fortune. Alright, so let's go to text 10. So it explains how he is in text 10. Why he is not affected by sinful reaction. Brahmani adaya karmani sangam tyakva karoti yajyatena sa papena atmapatram nibambasa. It's a very nice verse. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results onto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. So this is a person acting in this karma platform. This is how they behave. They know, because they have realization, that everything belongs to Krishna only. And the action is without fruits and attachment. They're not even attached to the thing. They do it for a lot. And then the results that come out of it has no sin, yes, no sinful reaction.
Basically, you don't earn any karma.
Yeah, yes, nothing. They're doing it for the Lord's praise. Whatever they come, it's fine. They're not interested.
That's in the case of Lord, like when we start the Lord. But in real life, when we do a project or a work,
I already told you, those are different things. You do your prescribed, the results of that you have to give, because you are doing some outside work. Those activities are not
Krishna.
They are not transcendental activities.
Right.
So you have to take the results and give to Krishna to purify it.
But you have to foresee the result in advance, right? What's the outcome going to be?
Well, I don't know whether you can foresee some of your projects, but I'm saying you should understand that whatever you can get, you give something in charity to Krishna, like that. But therefore I say those activities are like devotion, but they are not pure devotion. Pure devotion is when you are 100% giving everything to Krishna here. Full, you come here, you chant, kirtan, doing archana, all those completely. Those are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smarana, all these are pure devotional activities. Cooking outside for someone, but you can't really think about Krishna, but if you know I'm working for Krishna, and this if you take a job so that you can pay off the temple, and then the job is totally for getting the money for Krishna, that is pure devotion. You understand the difference? But if you are just working for your own self, your family, for your relatives here, there, everywhere, then it's not pure devotion. So you purify those activities by giving something to Krishna, but it's not completely pure. But at least you come more often. So as I said in the beginning, material life is quite extensive, and then you try to increase your spiritual life as by the time you are in the 50s or 60s. That's the ideal target, but we all have our own ideals. Alright. Yeah, okay. So one who knows perfectly well that he is the proprietor of everything, that Krishna is the proprietor of everything, therefore engages everything in the service of the Lord, Supreme Lord. And then therefore naturally he has nothing to do with the results of that activity, whether they are virtuous or sinful. Kayena Manasa Buddhya
Kayena Manasa Buddhya
Kevalayendriyairapi
Kevalayendriyairapi
Yogina Karma Kurvanti
Yogina Karma Kurvanti
Sangam Tyakvatma Shuddhaye
Sangam Tyakvatma Shuddhaye.
Yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind, intelligence and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification. So again, this is another way the Nishkam Karma Yogi acts. He knows again that everything belongs to Krishna. And so he acts with mind, body, intelligence, senses only for the purposes of purification. And he is not attached to the results. So therefore anything you do in Krishna consciousness automatically is purified. Any action you do for Krishna, you know willingly and knowingly do it for Krishna, automatically is purified because it's done for Krishna's pleasure. Okay. So there are activities that are perfect for devotees or aspiring devotees. So those are known as Sadachara, Sadachara. Sadachara. That means what activities we should do. Like how you behave, how you talk to someone, how you respect someone, what to eat, what to say, like that. So then these are it's called etiquette, so to speak. What is the etiquette of a person? So when you follow all those things, connecting with Krishna most of the time, then you are basically acting on the platform of a liberated person. Because everything is done for the Lord. Nothing for you or for anybody or 50%, this nothing. Completely, 10%. So therefore, this verse which explains such a person, Iha yasya hare dasya karmana manasa gira vikalasvapi avastasu jivan muktasa uchate. A person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words in the service of Krishna, with his body, mind, intelligence and words, is a liberated person even within the material world, although he may be engaged in so many so-called material activities. Why? Because he has no false ego. For he does not believe that he is this material body or that he possesses the body. He knows that he is not this body and that this body does not belong to him. He himself belongs to Krishna and the body too belongs to Krishna. Therefore he uses that as a service to please Krishna. You can see that it is already there, it's quite definitive what it is. It's how we come to this challenge, so to speak. How we can apply these principles in our life. As I said in the beginning, it's going to be, you have to do certain duties. And by doing that duties for a while and imperfectly, you will achieve this stage of liberation. Okay? You come to a stage where everything you do is for Krishna. Even your job, you're not thinking about, oh, I have to do a job. You're thinking, I am doing it for the pleasure of the Lord. At the moment, we are not at that stage because we are still conditioned. We still have so many desires that are waiting to explode, So we're learning how to control that. So once that's done, then you find the natural desire to serve the Lord comes up. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva
Yukta karma phalam tyaktva
Shantim apnoti naistikim
Shantim apnoti naistikim
Ayukta kama karena
Ayukta kama karena
Phale shakto nibadyate
Phale shakto nibadyate.
The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. Quite obvious. If you're going to do it for yourself, you're going to get entangled. You do it for the Lord, you become peaceful. You're not worried how much I'm getting, how much I'm losing, right? Like in like when you get into a mobile accident or something like that, generally the insurance company will try to settle it, or if you go to the lawyers will immediately say they take 33%. And then, yeah, it's true, that's how they take 33%, that's the deal, 1/3, whatever you claim. And then this is how they do. To make their case really solid, they will tell you to go to the hospital, get CAT scan, this scan, all kinds of and then you have to pay at least 1/3 of your thing to those hospital costs, and then you only with 1/3. So there's all these things people think are very smart. So if you get $18,000 for the insurance claim, you only take home 6,000.
And you pay tax on that.
Yeah. That's how it is. And then the lawyers and the medical company are laughing because they did nothing. That's how it's all set up. So people are like that, right? They like to cheat and use. But whereas for us, we are not thinking like that. We want to give everything to Krishna. So if you think like this insurance company or lawyers, then you have to take some karma. In fact, you look at those lawyers, their face, or you can see how much karma is it. I'm not joking. Have you studied them next time if you happen to see so much karma? It comes in the face. There's no light in there. It's all heavy. So many cases they take money.
Here in the US we have the highest number of attorneys worldwide.
Yeah, because it pays well.
Yeah.
Pays well. If you want to get something authenticated to them, you have to submit, and all they do is just type out and they sign, and then for that you have to pay so much. Even the government they does that, right? If you want to build a house, then if you want to get the property thingy area wise, you go to the architect or whatever. They already have all the drawings. They just have to print. But to get the print, they'll charge you so much money. $1,000, or you have to draw extra line. It will take him 5 minutes and he'll charge you $1,000. Because I know a friend who works like that. And he told me, he was laughing. Sarva karmani manasa,
Sarva karmani manasa,
sanyasyaste sukham vasi,
Sanyasyaste sukham vasi,
Navadvare pure dehi,
Navadvare pure dehi,
Naiva kurvana kharayan.
Naiva kurvana kharayan.
When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, which is the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. So basically the living entity, if you are conditioned, if you attach to your body, you identify with the body, material body. And if you identify with the material body, you will suffer. That's right. That's right. If you identify. But when you identify with the super soul, you become free from the suffering, even though you are within the body. So that is the main understanding of this purport. Na kartritvam na karmani,
Na kartritvam na karmani,
lokasya srijati prabhu,
Lokasya srijati prabhu,
na karma phala samyogam,
Na karma phala sanyogam,
swabhavastu pravartate.
Svabhavastu pravartate.
The embodied spirit, master the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. So when we are bewildered by the material nature, we accept the material body. Basically we are in ignorance. And so we accept this body as one, that we are the body. But with the knowledge we understand we are not the body. Otherwise we will accept the material body as us. And therefore because of that we tend to do so many activities. when we identify with the body. I'm this body, I have this connection, that connection, and so on. So we like to do so many things. And when we do so many things in ignorance, it creates a lot of, yes, resultant actions, karma. No choice. Because you don't know what you're doing, you think this is the right thing to do. Everything is based on the senses, without connecting to Krishna. So there are so much reactions coming through. Although it may appear we are in control of the body, but actually all the activities are carried out by the material nature. We think we are in charge. But remember, Prakriti Kriyamanini, Sarvasaha, Ahankara Niti, Madhyute.
So the embodied spirit, master of the city of the body, it means Atma, is it talking about soul?
The embodied person is
Yeah.
a soul who is covered. Yeah. So the embodied living entity, if he is in ignorance, then he identifies with the body, thinking he is the body. Therefore he acts according to the needs of the body. Okay? And therefore there is resultant reactions to it, which is happiness, suffering, distress. So that's out of ignorance. And it may appear that he is in control, but actually he is not in control. Remember, Prakriti Kriyamanine Gune Karma Sarvasaha, right? Everything is done by Guna, the Prakriti. The spirit soul is just inside the heart and he's desiring, oh, I want to walk there. And then the body moves.
The spirit soul is not pure.
Huh?
The spirit soul.
If he's in ignorance, he's not pure. But the spirit soul is eternally pure. It's just that he is covered by ignorance. So we are all covered by ignorance. So that's why we are identifying with this and not with Krishna. So as we practice dovetailing our activities to please Krishna, then we understand we are actually servants of Krishna, even though we are embodied in this. So our activities will be, I want to just do this for Krishna. Like that. So the other thing is we are not, in one sense we are the owners of this body, but actually the body also belongs to the Supreme Lord. Really speaking, it's not even ours. If it's ours, how is it that we can't even protect it? Right? At the end of life, we get kicked out of it. It doesn't belong to us. Why can't we stay here forever? No, it doesn't. Because it's not ours. Material nature will say, give me back what I gave you. You got to give back. But when we become Krishna conscious, then we become aloof from there. Then actually that is the real mastery of the body, because you're using it in the service of the Lord. Then you're the real master, because you become free from reactions to the material nature. So basically understand that ignorance is the cause of our suffering, yes.
And the material nature has beginning and end, right? That's what he says.
Yeah,
Whereas the spiritual...
eternal. Yeah.
So is the free will coming out from the soul?
Yeah.
He is the one who comes.
Yeah, whatever choice you make, that's your free will.
But then if the soul is covered by the ignorance,
Still you
then
have
he makes
choice.
wrong choice.
Yes, yes. That's why when you study scripture, then you have the intelligence now to make the right choice. That's all. There's only two choices available.
I don't know.
Krishna or Maya. That's all we need. Everything else is just this is more details only. How much Maya, how little Maya.
As long as the soul is inside the body and it is covered with the ego, so it's not pure. But as soon as it leaves the body, does it become pure again? Because it gets into another body.
No. The false ego is always there. I told you before, your false ego is covering you. So you cannot escape just like that. The soul is always covered by false ego. He needs to purify his ego. The ego is identifying with the body. That I am the controller, I am the body, this, that. Oh, this is the false ego. The real ego is I am servant of Krishna. I am his servant. I am part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is my Lord. That is the real ego. So it doesn't matter. When you die, the soul is, if you are not purified of the false ego, you are still covered by the false ego. So you identify with the body, therefore the soul is looking for another body to take birth. So with your subtle body, which is your karma plus previous karma plus present karma, then it is given to the material nature, and the material nature will read it out and then say, okay, next life this body, big warehouse, number 91 here, 2001 legs, like that, and then you get the body, and then you look at yourself and you grow up and say, I look so cool. Next life. That's what it is. It's still identifying with the body. Right? Just right now you die and you go to another body. Whatever the body is, when you wake up you think that is who you are.
So the entire purpose of the life then becomes purifying the soul itself.
Yeah, because he made the wrong decision originally, right? That's what's causing all this problem. The envious nature towards the Lord is the, instead of karma, we have to develop prema. Prema is to love the Lord. Karma is to love ourselves, our body. And that's what's pulling us down.
The only way for the soul to realize that he is the one is when he is in the body itself.
Oh, you mean...
he is the servant of the Lord.
Yeah, it's only the human...
He is in the body.
Well, how can you realize when you are out of the body? The human form body allows you to practice devotional service. You cannot exist without a body in the material world. There's no such situation. You either have a subtle body like a ghost or any other body, 8.4 million species. So you have to take one body. Which one you want? Choice is yours. Come on down. Deeper. Take your pick. You can't remain as a soul. When you purify, then you give up all these material things. Then your original soul. Okay, then it reveals its true body, spiritual body. Could be anything.
And it never enters another body because
Yes.
it's liberated.
It's liberated. Unless Krishna tells you to come and save somebody, then you come and take a body like one of the acharyas like that. Nadate kasyachit papam
Nadate kasyachit papam
na chaiva sukritam vibhu
Nachaiva sukritam vibhu
Ajnanena vritam jnanam
Ajnanena vritam jnanam
Tena bhuyanti jantavaha
Tena bhuyanti jantavaha.
Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. So a lot of people think, right, the Lord also is doing some activities when he comes down, so therefore he also must have karma. Or because he's doing all these things, we are praying to him and then please take our sinful life. It's not like that. He doesn't assume anyone's. If we do something wrong, it's our problem. And unless you become a pure devotee, then he helps you to burn it off. Okay? That's his mercy. Anyway, here it says Vibhu. Vibhu means Supreme Lord. Vibhu means omniscient also. And it means he is full of 6 opulences. That is what it means. Omniscient, full of 6 opulences. And the full, that means it's full. His unlimited knowledge he has. Whatever knowledge that his knowledge keeps growing also. So the Lord has unlimited knowledge. Nobody can compare to him. And then he has unlimited wealth or riches or opulences. Unlimited strength, fame, beauty and renunciation. So you can see, even in this material world, when someone is very beautiful, so many people want to know about them, keep them, or follow them on the Twitter, this nonsense or whatever they do, right? Nowadays. And then if someone is very famous also, everybody wants to know about them, particularly all the actors or the singers, musicians and so on. So famous. But Krishna is full in being famous. We are only famous for one lifetime. He's always famous. Strength, unlimited strength. So even that also, right? Big Olympics, all the strong men, but they only for 1 or 2 Olympic games, that's it. No more. Krishna is always strong, famous. Same with riches and knowledge. So therefore, that is why he is known as Krishna or all attractive. Because anyone is attracted to Krishna because they are attracted to one of his 6 opulences. Similarly, in this world, you see people are attracted to his opulences among people. Right? Someone is wealthy, they have some Krishna's mercy, so everyone has to be a friend. So that's why. And Krishna himself, because he is transcendental, he is pure, so therefore he is not sinful. So people have a misunderstanding about that. A lot of time people ask questions that, because he is doing so many things, he's responsible for, shouldn't he be responsible for all the good and bad things in the world? No. He simply sanctions. That's how he is. He sanctions. The soul does the initiation by his desire. It is the soul that desires. And then, therefore, the soul is responsible for all good and bad. In the heart, where you are, the soul is there also. So when the soul desires, the Supreme Lord does not say, oh no, I can't give you. He sanctions it. Sometimes he may try to jolt you, sometimes you want to do something wrong, you feel your heart pump, jump a bit. That's the soul telling you, hey, wake up, you really want to do that? Then you still want to do it, then you say, by all means go ahead. So he's not taking responsible for our bad choices. Okay? We make the choices, we are responsible. He is the permitter. Okay? He permits. And because it's done in a special, you can call it's a kind of mysticism is not the right word, but anyway, the Lord sanctions and then immediately the karma, everything comes into place. The demigods, everyone gets the same message at the same time and is executed instantly. So that's how this desire works. So you desire, oh I have to work hard and so on. Oh, I want to get something, and the Lord will say, okay, you will work this way, and then he gets the intelligence.
Sometimes when the desire is intense, miracles do happen.
Yeah.
It's real intent, devotional intent.
If it's devotional, it's different. But materially, we desire so many things, right? And then we work for it, right? We plan, we work for it. So all these are sanctioned. Okay, go for it like that. But it's you who really want that. It's not the Lord wants that thing for you. So therefore you have to assume that responsibility. I asked for it. So, okay.
Yeah, I think when same Lord took the avatar of Ram as well as Srinivasa, we had to go through a lot of issues and
yeah, that is to show, that's a Leela. When he takes Leela, he shows the frailties of the human life. He's teaching you at the same time. So much pain, right? Let's see, we have a very beautiful wife, Sita, look what happens.
What is the role of Sita Lakshmi in this entire
She has a role to play. She is there to please her Lord. But you see, we are seeing from a mundane vision, But the Lord's transcendental loving exchanges between him and Sita is different. It's on a different level. There is in the Puranas, when you come to a certain level, when you read it, you can appreciate the feelings of the Lord and Sita. But from our point of view, we can't, even if you read, you will see it in a mundane perspective. That's why purification is necessary before we go into deeper aspects of the Lord's feelings and so on. So it is not the Lord creates the situation for us. We create the situation. We want something, we endeavor for it, so the material nature puts the forces in place for us. And then we say, why I have to suffer this? You ask for it, we blame everyone else but ourselves. Right? If you don't study, right, and then you go to exam and you fail, who are you going to blame? You blame, oh, my teacher didn't teach me, they weren't good, so I wasn't studying. People say, but it's your fault. I mean, there are circumstances when teachers really don't teach also.
Whose fault is it?
Huh?
When we say it's your fault, whose fault is
The soul.
it? So,
He desires that. He makes the choices. It may seem cruel, but it's his choice. And, it's not the Lord's choice. We make the decision to, like you come to a crossroad, there's two ways to go, right? Left or right. You make the decision. The Lord doesn't say go this way. Hey, go this way. And then when you take the left and then you say, oh, I'm near a cliff, and then it's not. You told me to come here. No, He doesn't do it. He said,
Do all the souls think in the same way?
like,
Some souls, maybe they are gifted with some innate qualities, like some are more smarter than the others.
yeah, well, this is all karma, no? It's all based on piety. If you are more intelligent, the next guy means you were more pious than the other guy, that's all. But still, you make the choice. It's like you have a desire to smoke, right? You watch all the movie, then you saw, who's that, the actress, Bollywood, and I don't know anybody, just say a name. I only know very old, it's a very old guy, no? I just know. No, lady. What's that lady who was a beauty queen?
Aishwarya.
Okay, so let's say you watch Aishwarya smoking on the movie, and then you think, oh, I want to smoke like her. You have that desire. So later on, when you meet your friend, they say, you should smoke the cigarette. Then who's making the choice? The Lord is not saying you should smoke. You make the choice. So someone who's more pious will think it's bad for my health, because the intelligence kicks in. So they make the choice, I'm not going to smoke.
where does the luck come into picture? Because we always talk about, this guy is a lucky guy.
Fortunate. Fortunate is basically, for us, fortune means you get Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it is piety or impiety or due to past life karma, you make wrong decisions. The forces of nature is always attacking you, forcing you to make a choice. You make a choice based on previous impressions from previous lives. Karma. Some impressions are so strong from the last life that you pick the same mistake from previous life. It's possible, yeah. It is very complicated, as I said, but it is like you make choice. Nobody forces. The material nature can force to some extent, makes it more exciting and so on.
Where do the souls decide by the time they go to the next body? Is it something like we say, some souls they're
Well, there are some places you can go to hell for. You can go to hell for, from human time it could be 3 seconds, but it could be 1,000 years in hell. Depending on which hell you are going. Yeah. They are all different time zones. Right? It's like even in America we are on the west coast time. So we are always 2-3 hours behind New York time. So it's like that. So in the same way, some hellish planets, 3 seconds is like 1,000 or 1,000,000 years for you in the hell. Yeah, and it's real. Your experience is real, but it's temporary. But yeah, you suffer. Or some hell is you stay there for 1,000,000 years, but it could only be 3 months in Earth time.
it's mentioned in the Garuda Purana, right? They say,
So you
Women are
know.
not supposed to read all those.
So why are you reading it?
No, I just heard it.
Don't worry about all that. Just become Krishna conscious. Wear Kantimala, be a good person, devotee, then you are protected from going to such harsh places. So when the Yamaraj's servants come, they see you wear this, they say, oh, that's a devotee, we won't touch them. Yeah, it's a fact. But you must be a devotee. But if you wear this and do nonsense, they have the power to drag you to hell. So try your best to be a good person. Practice nicely. Because we are prone to ignorance. We are minute. We are anu. So the material nature is so powerful, it can easily crush us. Or not destroy, but crush our thoughts and so on. So powerful. No one can conquer the material nature. Only the Lord can.
I think having knowledge of your previous birth might help us in the
Not necessarily. We are not all Bharat Maharaj, When he had that knowledge from his previous birth, he was so fixed in his determination. We may think, oh man, I did this, maybe this guy I won't do, I'll do better in my material life. This material nature is so alluring. You get bewildered easily. The only way to get out of this bewilderment is practice Krishna consciousness. It's a guarantee. If you do it, you get free. If you want to muck around with it, you suffer the consequences. It's not easy. So if your desire, as I said, there's only two choices in your desire, for Krishna or for yourself. Misuse of desire means you get chains of reactions. One desire leads to another desire, to multiple of desire. Take for example, you want a new house, Deepa. So then your desire is so strong, you tell your husband, I want. He says, well, we can't afford. You say, no, otherwise I won't be happy. Then his life is miserable. So then he'll say, I have to get a big house. So he'll buy a house. Then you say, I want a bigger kitchen. So he has to draw with the architect. They say, I don't like this color, change color. I want this stones, I want granite, this, that, teak wood, this furniture, that. So many desires from one house.
It's like a basic necessity.
Yeah, you think it's basic, but then it's unnecessary sometimes. But if you use it for Krishna's service, fine. You do the best. It's for devotees, for the service of the Lord, that's fine. No problem. But generally we don't, no. Very few devotees use it for the service of devotees and Krishna. Generally they use it, like I said, they use it, they sit around for the first few weeks and say, oh, it's so nice. And after that they forget that they have a nice house. It's a fact.
You forget that they look for how can they buy another one.
Yeah, okay. Some do. They forget or they get caught up with other things. So misuse of our desire. We all of us are here in this world because we misused our desires. So the Lord is the witness and the permitter. It's in the 13th chapter. Upadrasta mantascha bharta bhakta maheshwara paramatme pichapi yukta dehasmi purusha paraha. So He is the Lord in the heart who oversees whatever we do, and He is the permitter as well.
Can you repeat that? I didn't understand. Can you repeat that?
Super soul, Paramatma, He is the Lord in the heart, and He oversees all that we want or desire, and He permits those things. He sanctions it. He is the witness as well. He witnesses what nonsense you want and do, and He permits the actions you want, desire to do. So He is neutral. Therefore, He is not responsible for our intentions, our external actions.
Where is Paramatma?
Huh?
Where is Paramatma?
Next to you,
So it's nothing.
in the heart.
Paramatma doesn't make any decisions. Right? It's
He
not
only-
been covered by false ego.
No, Paramatma is transcendental, no? His job is to be your escort. He's your witness, your escort. He tells you sometimes don't do it, but you don't listen.
So is it the conscience when we are
Sometimes you feel him, yes. Sometimes you feel him, yes. Sometimes you feel him.
Because we have the two minds.
Sometimes he's talking to you, but we cannot hear him. He's actually talking even now to you. Come home. But we can't hear because we're too engrossed in the body and our external desires. So therefore, you cannot run away. You cannot pretend that you don't know. You can even convince yourself you don't know, but he knows that you know. That's why it's always witness. You can cheat everybody, but you cannot cheat yourself and the Lord. But you can confuse yourself. After a few years, you forget, right? But he never. That's his position. Okay, so we will. Anything else? Okay, the example of how he understands our whatever we think is just like when you have a rose, fragrant rose in front of you. Even though it's in front of you, you can smell the fragrance. So that's how the Paramatma understands. Whatever you think, he knows. You cannot run away. You cannot even hide your thoughts. He knows exactly what you think, how you plan to murder that person, everything he knows. And that is revealed to Chitragupta in Yamaraja's court. So he immediately writes down your thoughts, what you all did and everything. So no escape. It's perfect system. And this world is created perfectly. We are created perfectly. But our imperfection is we want to enjoy separately. And therefore the consequences. So this is an excellent opportunity for all of you. You have come to Srila Prabhupada's mercy. This is his mercy. Use it wisely. Make good use of your lives. And move on to go back to spiritual.